Welcome to Great Overload. I'm Anthony, and let's review the PDP Xbox Media Remote. I've had the PDP Xbox Media Remote for just over a month here. Been using it almost every day, as well as I also have the PDP, the older one, the PDP Talon Media Remote as well. This one has a lot more stuff on it, and I'll compare both of these as I go through the review. But this one is a pretty good remote off the bat. If you want to know kind of what I feel, I think it's a good remote overall. There's a lot of things I would change about this remote, um, but I like it overall. Now, the just going through it, right? You have normal buttons on there, right? You have your Xbox button, your media controls, your A, B, X, Y, you know, basically, your direction, and then your enter in the center here. So it has everything kind of like that you'd expect. It also has stuff to mute and change volume and channels, and then to go back. Now, that doesn't work on my setup, but that's my setup. I got an LG 49-inch TV, and then I run my sound through the my sound system. So right off the bat, though, I will say be careful with this Xbox button up on here. It is actually just stuck on, and if you compare the video that I did unboxing of to this one, you will notice it is no longer, perfectly placed because it fell off. So it's just stuck on to the button underneath, and of course, guess what happened? It fell off quite easily, actually. I was a bit shocked. I came one day back to the remote and it fell in between the sofa and noticed there was no Xbox button. So that's just one thing to keep in mind here. Now, since I use these a lot, I have one Xbox in my bedroom where my wife and I can watch um, movies and stuff when we want to, and then this one's down on the main entertainment center. So this one moved upstairs, and right off the bat, if you're using one and you want to jump to the other one, you'll notice that the A, B, X, Y buttons are in a different configuration. So I would like this remote to mimic this one and have at least the buttons underneath my directions. So if we were to be able to go through and swap these two rows, that would be great. That'd be a huge improvement because I don't know how many times I go through and I'm pressing and I go down after here and I expect to press like B. So I go down and expect to press B like right here and it's not there like I can kind of do on this one. So um, there's little minor things that I would really like them to upgrade or tweak a little bit to improve this remote. One also would be when you're watching a movie, I like it dark. And so I don't really have, if I have lights on, like downstairs in my main, it's actually right behind the TV, but I'll turn on, it's kind of hard to see here, but there's a little side lights on the side wall, and I'll dim those down so it's very low light. So you can kind of get to see, your A, B, X, Y buttons. However, if they were translucent instead of just being a color, that would be a huge benefit because I did try this on my other Xbox, which is in the bedroom, which will have the lights off, and you can't see those at all. So the one great thing about these is that they light up, all except for those buttons and the Xbox button, which the Xbox button's a little bit better because you can feel for it, but your A, B, X, Y, you don't have the ability to do. Now, with that, ergonomics are great on this thing, right? So this, if you can see between, right, the new media remote here just kind of sits perfectly in your hand. This one's awkward. So it's a little bit bigger. Um, and so you get used to it, right? Either one. It's just they did make refinements in this remote. It is newer, and so it is, nice to have. Now, you'll notice if I go through, the lights are on and then they dim, or yeah, so you can kind of see that they dim there, hopefully, and they do that little flicker. So, and it's just movement they turn on. I'd like that to last for another half second. It'd be really great. They both the remotes are looks to be the same exact timing to dim. Now, if it was an extra half second, I'm sure it would drain more battery. However, sometimes you're going through and you just want to, especially if you're starting a TV show or going through. And I know I started this TV show. I fell asleep during it last night, so I know I started it. But I just want to go ahead a little bit. And if you were to keep that, the light up a little bit more, I could then fast forward a little bit sooner, because a lot of times what I'm doing is I'll take it, fast forward, set the remote down, and be like, okay, um, here it is, or I'll just leave it in my hand, just leave it sit there, and I'll take my hands off the button I was pressing, which happens way too often. So there's that little aspect of, oh yeah, I need to wiggle it a little bit, get that back up, but just being a little, more consumer friendly there. I feel, these are my wish list items if I could have them. But overall, it's a great little remote, right? Does a good job. I'm using Plex for the most part of all this, or YouTube. Um, I'm not going to use web pages with it because it does not work well if you're going to scroll on web pages. You really need a controller for that. But this remote, I like the size of it a lot more. It's smaller, it's more compact, um, which is I think a benefit to these remotes. Now, as much as I say, I like that it's more compact, entering in like your access codes are way easier on this one, right? I got the numpad right there, and I can just enter in the digits and be done. With this, it's still possible, but that's another thing, right? If you're going through and entering your code in the dark, and you have to press AXBY and those don't light up, you kind of have to memorize that. Now I've been using the remote enough where I kind of memorized them, but it is still a kind of annoying to do. Where just put, you can even leave them the same color, just make them translucent with LEDs behind them. You did it on the rest of the buttons. Quite simple to do. I would recommend this if you're looking for a media remote. If there's more media remotes out there, leave them in the comments below. I'll pick them up to test them out, because as much as I like these remotes, I'm willing to look at something better. And who knows if something better is going to come along. I'd like Microsoft to actually bring out, or have more companies have more remotes out there, right? Because this being one remote, right? And let's say it's one remote per, you know, generation of, like, this came out with the Xbox One, and now this is the Xbox Series. Do we have anything else, right? The Xbox remote's kind of, yeah, that the ones that Microsoft made. So that's my basic review. I know it's short, and it's it is what it is, right? It's a media remote. It does its job. Things I'd like to improve are, switching those rows, a little bit longer LEDs, and better quality control. So if you can get by the quality bit of this, of the button popping off, just put maybe some. If it pops off again, I just stuck it back on. But if it pops off again, I will be gluing it and making sure it doesn't. But overall, this is a pretty good remote. So if you're looking for something for Xbox to control media, and you don't want to have to keep the control around, make it easier for everyone else in your household, this is actually a pretty good remote to go and do that. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Gravel and help this channel grow. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to look at them and respond with any questions. Until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.